facing away from me, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, right, that you meant. Sorry. Thank you. That's much nicer of you. Right, I'll go back in here. So we're in Howard's place, and then we've got to see what we'll do with it. Okay. Okay, can you guys hear me? Is there anybody in there? Yeah? Okay, good. We're here.
Found another battery?
We found Dave's phone and he said go on my channel. So we switched channels and switched phones.
Beautiful.
Lovely.
Man, my fingers are so cold,
Cold?
I can't play, yeah.
You know, warm up a bit.
Brilliant. I think we worked out the heater though, that's the good news.
Yeah.
We're with Alex and Mike.
Sorry?
We're with Alex and Mike.
We are with Alex and Mike.
And it's a real treat. We've got our day off and we've been joined by some really informative and potent members of the community.
The treat is all ours, mate, the treat is all ours. Yeah, once we heard you were in the neighbourhood, mate, what could we do? You know?
It's good of you to come down, good of you to join us. We really appreciate it. It's been good conversations. Unfortunately, you've missed a lot of them. The tour van is actually down at the beach at Benidorm, just doing a little bit of flyering. So hopefully you'll see that footage a little later on. Yeah, it got really cold and we thought we'd just come indoors and thankfully Alex is maybe going to play and hopefully I can get to...
Yeah, well, we wait for Howard to get back, but I'll warm my little fingers up and then maybe we might burst out one of the old classics. We'll see.
One of the old classics, yeah.
They are classics now. It's amazing to think that it was 2 years ago that I released my first Flat Earth song, which is amazing. It's now starting to get some kind of momentum now. A lot more people are discovering it. Even Owen Benjamin discovered one of my Moon song, and he was blown away by it, wasn't he? He was going, "Wow, this guy is this comedy awe." He was like watching it in awe, wasn't he? Which was a hell of a review for me.
Heaping praise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's good. Crow 777 as well, which I know a lot of people are going to be familiar with. I got off a Skype call with him last night, and he's been binge watching my videos, and he's like, "You're killing it, man," in his accent. So he phoned me to say, like, "Do you want to come on and talk about your music and your journey?" I was like, "Hell yeah, absolutely!" So that's really weird. So it's amazing that a guy like Crow 777 is only just picking up on what I did 2 years ago. You know, so it's starting to get out there, through music. It's very powerful. It's literally resonating with people, and I love that.
Well, the bizarre thing is, I'm sat here listening to you talking about that, and I remember when I first heard your songs, you know what I mean? And I thought, and that was on Globebusters, I think it was.
Yeah.
And and I'd never thought I'd be reaching this point where we're all in this, and the awakenedness has gone so far now compared to even then.
There's serendipitous about it.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
There is.
No, it's great. It's great. I'm like as I said earlier, I think I found my calling in life now. You know, I went from singing love songs in bars and cover songs.
Right.
Now I'm singing songs about gravity and satellites and
Right,
ISS
right.
and stuff like that, and putting a comedic spin on it.
Yeah.
And people are resonating with it, and I like, I've got to do more of this. I've got to do more and more and more. So yeah, I'm loving what I'm doing at the moment. I really am. I'm very blessed to be able to do it. Very blessed.
Yeah.
You know, I can sit in a nice warm studio and do my activism that way, and you guys are on the front line freezing your tails off. with all this confrontation that I just couldn't deal with. So I've got it easy really in comparison.
But everyone does their thing in their own way, and that's the bit, isn't it?
I'm blessed to be contributed, in my little way.
Absolutely.
Everybody's doing what they, I've always said, if you're, no matter what your walk of life is, even if you're an accountant or whatever, I shouldn't have said it like that, an accountant. If you're an accountant, I'm sure you could do something flat. Make a spreadsheet, do a curvature calculation spreadsheet, and get that out there.
Yeah, right.
If you're a gardener, use your gardening skills. Do a flower bed with the azimuthal equidistant map with all the flowers, different colours representing the different continents. I don't know, do something creative like that. I'm sure everybody could put their little spin on it. Everybody's got talents. They probably don't even realise.
Of course,
they
yeah.
have,
Yeah,
Tell
of course.
the world.
Yeah, in whatever way you
whatever
can,
way you can.
whatever your strength is,
Mm.
And I'm just using my experience of working in pubs, playing guitars, and my limited experience with video editing and a green screen. You can do amazing things.
Yeah, I've noticed.
If you've got a creative mindset, and this flat Earth thing certainly gives you a burst of creativity.
Yeah.
So is it true you can float in space? Because I've seen you on
Yeah,
telly.
I did that. Yeah, I did
so
that.
you can actually, you're like an
Absolutely.
astronaut.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
And I don't have $56 million a day either. No.
So,
My video puppet show, the budget for that was €30.
Amazing.
Yeah, and that was on the goggles and the snorkel, and the flippers. Obviously for comedic effect, $30. There you go.
Wow.
But it took me probably about a month or two to make that video.
How did you survive the waterfall coming in?
That's a NASA secret. I can't
Yeah,
tell you.
but I saw the dog got on quite fine without an astronaut's uniform or a
It's a
dogonaut's
special
uniform.
dog. He's,
Right.
yeah,
The plot thickens. The plot
He's
thickens.
sadly not with us anymore, which is a shame.
Oh, what a shame.
He died back in February.
Oh right,
That's
okay.
another story. But the good news is he's cemented in my videos forever.
Absolutely. I remember you talking about it. At least he's on there,
Yeah,
Good.
exactly. What did you say? You said, what a way to leave your mark on this world, or something like that. I mean, I love my dog, but I don't have kids, so like my dogs are my children.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
losing a dog for me was the first time I've known grief.
Yeah.
And so it was very sad when he went. And every time I watch one of my videos back, I see him sitting on the satellite, wagging his tail or something, or in the bar in the I don't want to talk about NASA on a bar stool. doing that. And he was like, oh, that's one of the dogs.
Flat Eddie he's got one of the ultimate comeback stories.
Comeback story?
Yeah, because he was on the verge of death long before you.
Oh, that's
came
true.
out with,
Yeah. He nearly died once, and we brought him back, but that's another story. But he's had a hell of a life, and now he's known as affectionately as Flat Eddie.
Flat
I
Eddie.
should have a little picture of him there, shouldn't I? On the
Yeah,
guitar,
yeah.
Flat Eddie. He's on the album cover. I'll put him on the album
Put him
cover.
there, yeah.
Little photo of him there, yeah. Fun memories.
Yeah.
Yeah, lovely dog.
You almost got me going there.
Did I? Hey.
Wow. Oh, that's awesome. No, it's been good to have such, cool music to listen to and some great lyrics and
I
stuff.
wish
like
we
that.
had more like me. We need another 100 of me.
There will be
Yeah.
in time. I think. I suspect that this is the early days, and we'll look back on this
There's a
time.
lot of conscious music out there. There's not a great deal of flat earth music out there, and what there is could be vastly improved, in my opinion. But I think
You're not having a
I
go
think
at
it's
Adam
fun.
Meakin, are you?
I don't know, I've not seen his song.
Adam Meakin, he's been.
It's amazing. It
Yeah.
would make #1.
What song?
He was playing.
The worst, mate. You don't want to know.
No, it's not that bad. No, it's not
It's
bad,
terrible,
but,
man.
but he's improving. He
Tell me
makes
the song, I might have heard it.
No,
It's-
No,
I can't-
probably not.
there's,
No, probably
there's
not.
nothing
No,
like
it's
it.
it's a
It's nothing like it.
it's like bending time.
Love you, Adam.
Yeah.
Yeah, only sometimes though.
Right.
Only
I don't
sometimes.
have to hear this song now.
Yeah. He was
Yeah,
the guy who got arrested in Rome.
he's the guy who got arrested in Rome.
Right, so Adam is from the channel. I know the channel.
Iron Rail
Rail
Media.
That's it.
Yeah.
So they're on TFR.
Right.
But he's definitely. But everybody's got to contribute their bits and pieces, their engineering skills, their music skills, or whatever. And
Yeah.
that's what I think Flat Earth is going to, hopefully bring, like bring a new purpose to whatever it is that you do to do it even
Yeah.
better.
No, it's nice to be a part of the music section. It's Mark Sargent referred to me as the battlefield drummer. I like that because it is a warfield, isn't it? And I'm there going, "Don't believe in gravity!" Like, you're on the front line. I'm like keeping morale up with a few chords, And I love my place in it.
Yeah. In fact, I think we should have that because I've been saying they need to put a tannoy on the van next year. And so if you could play some of that music as you go through a town, don't believe in
Yeah, it was might
that
just
would
sow
be-
that seed.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, I think I referred to my album as a bag of seeds. Put it on at Christmas. Put it on while you're having a meal with Globers.
Mm.
Just see, they might not even mention it. They might not even comment on it, but they might go home in their car going, "Don't believe gravity." The next time they see a piece on, gravity being nonsense, they might go, "I heard something about that before."
Yeah.
Because of that song. It's that song again. Don't believe in. It's just it's sowing the seed. Music is beautiful at doing that. So long may it continue.
Well played.
Yeah.
Oh, well played.
Using their tactics against them, the catchy chorus, 3 chords, the simple stuff, and getting in your head.
There you go. So go and look out for Alex's albums.
Yeah, Conspiracy Music Guru is the name of the channel. If you type that into YouTube, Conspiracy Music Guru, 3 words. If you type that into iTunes, you'll find me. My website, conspiracymusicguru.com. Type that into Amazon, you'll find my album. I've done 2 albums. One is all Flat Earth related, where I hide behind a character like that. And the second album is Solfeggio Healing Frequencies instrumental guitar album, which is going down very well. I'm very proud of that. Yeah, that's really good. I'm getting some really good feedback on that. So I'm always going to be making conscious music in the right frequency, rather than this tepid, stale shit that we're forced to listen to at the moment. So
that's 440 or 432?
well, it's all in 440. All music is in 440. Anything you hear on a commercial, on a film, on the radio, with what you buy from iTunes is all in 440. The international standards was changed. The tuning standard was changed in 1955. But for many years it was 432 hertz. So why the change? That's what I want to impress on people the most. Why the change? It was changed. Why? And anybody who's conspiratorially minded, which I'm sure the audience here are, would be questioning why the change. There's a multi-pronged attack happening with our food and our air and everything. You think they'd leave music alone? Of course not. They're attacking it, and there's a reason why it was changed. It goes a lot deeper, but that's where I encourage people to do their own research. So the 440, for me, I don't listen to music. I don't put my radio on in my car, because I'm so passionate that 440 hertz is not beneficial for me listening to it.
Toxic frequency.
Yeah.
Sonic warfare.
Sonic warfare.
Mm.
Yeah, the weaponization of our music, the bastardization of our music. It's been condensed into an MP3 in the name of convenience these days.
Yeah.
And it's ripping the soul out of music.
But more importantly, perhaps damaging us. There has to be a purpose to it. It has to be damaging us.
It has
Otherwise,
to
they wouldn't
change it.
Subliminally or in some small way. They must be offering a frequency that can cause harm in some way.
I think
Otherwise, they wouldn't
it's
bother.
deeper than that. I think it's not just the frequency, but I think there are certain chord structures and certain scales that emote certain emotions. There's a very powerful video on YouTube, I think it's called The Power That Music Has Over You, and it talks about the different scales that rock music uses. It gives you a certain emotion when you listen to rock music in a certain scale, in a certain frequency. It's it's manipulation is what it is. So I would definitely encourage people to do their research on the 432 versus 440 hertz. Interestingly enough, when you go to Google and you type in 440 versus 432, the first article that you come to completely debunks it and says it's absolute nonsense. So Google have got their grubby little paws all over that as well.
No surprise.
Yeah, no surprise there. So
Yeah.
you'd have to look a little bit deeper. Try not to use Google, use DuckDuckGo or something, and read a bunch of articles and look at the solfeggio healing frequencies. Look at the manipulation of it. There's a couple of videos on my channel. One's called the weaponization of our music, and the other one's called the power of 432 hertz. And I sum it up pretty well in about 8 minutes. If you want to watch that.
Nice.
I'm a 432 purist now. I won't record in any other frequency. I know when I'm in the studio, I get goosebumps from listening to the music in that frequency. I've released an album, which is like kind of my own scientific experiment, if you like. I put it out there to see if there's anything to this solfeggio healing frequency, and the feedback I'm getting is, wow. I've never felt like that with music before. You listen to what Bob said on Globebusters about my song. He said he was overcome with emotion.
Wow.
He played it to his wife Cammy. She burst into tears. This is the effect that music should be having on people.
Absolutely.
But it's not, because of the frequency.
Well, that's a good segue, because Globebusters are on here in the chat actually. So
Hey, Bob!
Hey, Bob.
Let's go,
Hey,
man.
Bob.
So they're in here somewhere. Just briefly, I'd just like to shout out a couple of people, because one or two have got questions before they disappear away out of the chat. There's someone in here saying, it's Rob from Kidderminster. Could you ask Alex to message me reference the Scottish Borders Berwick-upon-Tweed conference, September the 12th, 2020?
A conference in Scotland.
Yeah.
It's going to be very difficult to get me out of Spain. That's a tough one. Going to conferences is a tough one for me because it means I have to leave my beloved studio.
Okay, so it's like pending.
Yeah, I mean, I did the whole conference thing. I don't like gigging. I don't like doing gigs. I'll put that out. I don't like doing live gigs. The one in Denver nearly killed me. It was, I suffered terribly with nerves. And the anxiety that I got in Denver, I actually had an anxiety attack at Denver airport. I was on my hands and knees at passport control.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Just because, you know, the jet lag and I had to do a lot of content leading up to it. I had to do, you know, all the stuff that you saw on the screens in Denver was all the stuff with the lyrics going up at the bottom. I had to do a lot of rehearsal. I had to, you know, there was a lot of preparation involved in that. Put the jet lag on top of that and the altitude that Denver is, it's a mile high, you know, and all of these things just, it was very, Denver was really tough for me, you know, with the anxiety and the nerves and the stress. So I said to my wife, I'm not doing that again. I'm not doing that again. Let me just be in my studio, surrounded by my instruments. Let me produce and let me do my activism that way. You know, in the safeness and comfort, you know, comfort of my own home. That's where I feel the safest. Going out and doing these gigs, and I'm nearly 50. I'm not going to be doing that anymore. I did my apprenticeship in the bars and the pubs. You know, singing to drunken people that are just interested in watching the football. You know, I've done all that. I don't want to do.
So if I wanted to organise like a flat Earth, not free but cheap festival for people to come to, then I'd have to do it here in
is a good
Spain.
spot for that.
Yeah, I'm probably
Spain,
have to go.
Yeah, Doc Michael, if you can, yes, please.
Yeah, because I think for me, you know, people, the opportunity to get together seems to me the thing most rich. People who've joined us on this tour go, fuck, it's so awesome to kind of hang out with people who have a like mind in terms of the nature of the world and stuff. So I see the value in getting people together. I don't know that necessarily it has to be done in a big sort of conference format. And, you know, so something like the Flaktoberfest that Karen B did, something like that in, you know, this side of the world, I think would be...
I'd like to see something in the English language in Spain.
Yeah.
There's a few Spanish conferences going on. There's been one in Valencia, there's been one in Barcelona, which I went to, I actually played at that.
2 in Barcelona.
Yeah, there's one in Madrid in January 27th, I believe.
All right.
That's great, but I'm hesitant to go to that. My Spanish is terrible, which is it's terrible to say, really. I'm learning. You'd probably get more out of it. I don't know. I'd like to see one in Spain. I'd like to see the international conference come to Spain.
Yeah, and I'd go to that, I think.
Yeah, but for it to be kind of like a bit of a festival in a way, maybe, you know, where
Yeah.
it's a bit of, you know, some music, not putting any pressure on you, Alex, but some music kind of thing and some, you know, whatever, dancing, but people having the opportunity to kind of mingle and interact and socialize and stuff like that.
For me, music is so much better when it's not planned.
Right.
Like just picking the guitar out. Just bring your guitar with you and see what happens.
Yeah.
That's much more comfortable.
Well, maybe that's
if you
more...
say, right, you're on stage at 8 o'clock, you've got to perform for an hour, and then you've got to prepare for it. It's like, oh, you've just given me a shit ton of pressure that I really don't want. So that's a problem for me. Like, come to this festival, bring your guitar, if anything happens.
Sit around the fire.
Yeah.
See what happens.
Spontaneous as possible.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
maybe-
For me, but that's just my personal...
Yeah, totally. Well, even when we do stuff, I prefer, I mean, if we go on an update show, something simple like that, we don't have anything scripted. It's the worst part. You know what I mean? It's not keeping a time and then working on, I don't know,
So
bit phony.
So you don't really want to do gigs, go
You're
to
gigging
places
like
like
that.
that,
Fucking
and
avoid
play
it.
them.
I mean...
But you'd always bring your guitar
never
with you,
say,
wouldn't you?
never say never. I mean, because I want my music to reach as many people as possible because I know the power of it now. And then so if someone said, like, I want you to play in front of 2,000 people, that's a fantastic opportunity. And I've really got to grow some balls to do that for the love of the message, for the love of the music, and, you know, how important it is. So, you know, never say never, but, you know, if there's...
Yeah, I think that's...
I have to treat every gig...
Yeah.
You know, as an individual and see how I feel because I've got my own life as well, you know, and my own stresses. You know, I'm a normal guy like everybody else, so it depends on the time. I don't, you know, but I don't want to plan anything like Denver because leading up to it was months and months. Right, you've got to do, and it was a lot of pressure, You know, some people might be able to deal with that a lot easier, but me, I don't know. I have anxieties. I had a terrible anxiety attack coming back from Barcelona. Christ. Like about 6 hours, I was just like a mess, an absolute.
Luckily, I was chiropractor with him.
Yeah, I was an absolute mess. So this is what live performance does to me for some reason. I don't know whether it stems from childhood or whatever, but yeah, I'm not a fan of live performances at all.
Well,
I can see why these musicians that have so much pressure they turn to a life of drink and drugs.
Yeah.
because the pressure on them is enormous for them to perform, like performing monkeys all the time. Oh, you play the guitar and you sing, do this conference, do this, and you just end up going crazy and end up relying on drink and drugs to get you through that night.
Yeah.
So I completely understand why musicians go down that road.
So you're a bit like a duck, calm on top, and then like.
You have no idea what's going on here, man. Yeah.
Well, but this is the thing that Flat Earth has kind of brought a lot of us to where we are having to be challenged from our comfort zone, you know, because I did my thing, but also from a place of comfort. And I've had to challenge myself, and good Lord, have I had to challenge myself to be able to, you know, do something that I thought was so important. So I guess I'm with you, you know, obviously, you know, you don't need to do this just for a group of 5 people, but to be able to make a bigger impact, I'm sure would be.
I want to make a big impact, obviously. Yeah. But whether I choose to go and do, I mean, I'm never going to be headlining at Glastonbury. You know, that's never going to happen, is it? You know, I'm never going to get radio play on mainstream radio, am I? So there has to be other ways that we can do it. What we need is hackers. We need hackers to hack me onto the radio or whatever. Hey. But you know, I'm sure there are digital ways because I can reach more people online than doing a gig, which I don't really want to do. There must be ways to get conscious music a little bit more mainstream, you know, underhand tactics. You know, I'm sure there are, but I just haven't found it yet. Not for free anyway. If you can put a huge marketing budget behind it and spend a load of money on Facebook ads, then you know, money can talk. You can get exposure that way. But gigs are just really not for me. But never say never.
Yeah. Well,
never say never.
Good luck with me, you know, your future projects. So we look.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm always going to be making music because that's what I do. That's, you know, when what I want to do now, because I've made the Flat Earth album, I want to move on. My new single that's coming out on the 26th is about chemtrails, and then I want to do one on 9/11, maybe Antarctica, and the bigger conspiracies that a lot of people know about. And hopefully I will entice them into that music, and they'll go, oh, what's his back catalogue like? What's his previous work like? And they'll see the Flat Earth stuff, and that's kind of a way to lead them into the Flat Earth that way as well, by approaching more mainstream conspiracies like 9/11. Yeah, you know. So that's probably going to be if there's to be another album, it will be touching on chemtrails, vaccinations, maybe, you know, these kinds of things. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. But I'm always going to be making music because I think it is my destiny.
Yes, indeed.
It's a lot of fun.
It's your craft.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is my craft. Yeah.
I think it'd be awesome if we all found what that was.
We all found our craft.
Yeah.
If you all found our craft. What's my craft? What's your craft? I don't know what my craft is. But craft means power in German, funny enough, spelt with a K.
Right.
Means power. Craft. Kraftwerk is a power plant. The band Kraftwerk.
Right, yeah, Kraftwerk,
Yeah, power plant. So craft means power. But in English it means more finesse, isn't it? It's more...
Yeah.
Crafty means to be...
See? Yeah.
Well, actually, yeah, I suppose so. I thought crafty was more sort of mischievous, clever.
Yeah, mischievous, clever, right.
Yeah.
But it's also to make something. Like craft.
Yeah.
Which is normally very clever.
You have to be somewhat clever to make something.
Definitely going to take a piss. Excuse
Well...
me for a second.
Okay, so I need to really put this somewhere because...
Wow, well, there you go. So that's a bit of a scoop for my little channel to have Alex talking about his... the light's just on the outside there, mate.
What's your channel?
Trinity 4. Trinity 4. Which is a name I got given in the army back in 1986. Trinity, the number 4. Well, it's Trinity for man, but I shortened it to Trinity 4. So there you go. We've had another... Well, we didn't do any activism today, although the bus is down on the beach at the moment. Perhaps doing some activism with Howard and Jack and Lisa. We're just chilling here for a little while, and while the battery lasts, because there's only a limited amount of battery on this phone.
So this might go down. We'll have to wait for them to come back.
The battery packs are in the camper van.
Have you
So
introduced Mike then to...
We haven't really introduced Mike at all, and
Did
that's...
you do your video?
no, I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't introduce Mike. But if people don't know, this is Mike, and you can say it to yourself. But he's the guy who done a lot of fantastic work on exploring how rock structures might in fact be parts of giant animals' ears, for example, or hearts. So have a chat with folks.
Yeah. I'm his sidekick. That's how I got started on the whole thing.
You live near each other here in Spain?
Yeah, we both live in the same town in Spain, and there's when Alex first introduced me to the idea of flat Earth, I was it took some convincing actually initially just to get me to even look into it, and then after I started to study the topic, I came across other topics like mud fossils, and there was a video by a guy named Jay Dreamers that was about petrified titans, and I thought, well, if the Earth is flat and that's a possibility, then these other things have to also be considered because they're not outside of the realm of possibility if something as crazy as flat Earth is possible. So we just happen to live in a town where there's a mountain that looks a lot like an elephant, and so I started looking into it with new eyes and studying it for about 2 years. So I suppose
Did you have
you
like
could call me a titanologist.
Do you have like a background in that kind of thing?
Well, I'm a chiropractor by trade, so I've studied a lot of anatomy, I've studied physiology, and all these other subjects that you need in order to get the degree. So when I first started looking at the mountain, I was just looking at the overall form, and I was getting on Google Earth and flying around and looking at it from lots of different angles. And a lot of what's out there as far as titans go are just pictures of mountains that look like faces, or they look like something that could be something, but if you see it from another angle, maybe it doesn't look that way.
Yeah.
And or the light's hitting it at just the right angle. And so I wasn't interested in looking like a fool, but I thought it was pretty fascinating that this mountain from so many different angles looked like it could actually be a creature, and it actually has an eye exactly where the eye would be placed, and that eye is a cave that I had visited on many occasions. So when I started to go into this and looked more closely at it, I went back to the anatomy books, and I started studying the anatomy of the eye socket, because I said, well, if it's possible that this is an actual creature, then there should be identifiable anatomical structures inside. So I've done 5 videos on the topic. I've been studying it for about 2 years, and so far I've got a list of about 50 different very, very specific anatomical correlations. So I've studied it on the macro level, I've studied it on the micro level, I've gone inside it. There's a cave for the eye with deeper channels that you can go into. There's actually a cave where the ear would be.
That's awesome. What's your channel? What's your channel?
It's called Stellium 7.
It's just being shared now in the chat.
Yeah, I would check this stuff out. It's fascinating.
So I've done 2 series. One is called Unveiling a Titan, and the other is there's a playlist for petrified organs, and it's called some videos called Mud Fossils, The Heart of the Matter 1 and 2. Because as I started to look at the mountain, I started to look at all rocks differently, and that led to some pretty profound discoveries, which you'll find if you go to the channel.
Check out that stuff.
But there's for the other rocks, not for the mountain. There's a little 3-minute video where I just kind of introduced the topic of the heart stones, which I've covered in several videos now.
Nice.
Alex, have you taken this stuff on board, or are you still resistant to it? Is it
The titanology thing?
Yeah.
I've completely taken it on board. Yeah, once you showed me how many anatomical coincidences there were, which are over 40 now?
With the mountain, 50.
50.
Yeah, and not only that, but when after the 4th video came out, I was doing an interview with Rodrigo Ferrari, shout out to him, and I was going to show him, like I'd done hundreds of times with Google Earth, like the mountain from a lot of different angles. And as I went to go zoom in on certain parts of the mountain, which I covered in the first several videos, those parts of the mountain had actually been edited out. And it was very obvious that it was just those sections. So it's the eye, the ear, and that's it. And the whole rest of the mountain and all of the other mountains in the region are all perfectly normal, but those sections that I cover in the first videos are no longer, you can't see them in the same way. So the 5th video I show how it's clearly been censored by Google.
And that's amazing, because his channel's got like 2,000 subs. So to know that somebody knows about his work enough to censor his work, or specifically the eye and the ear as well.
My channel is very small, but I've gotten shout outs from some
big
great
names.
channels, from Globebusters, from DITRH, several other channels have talked about it. So it may be that attracted
Oh, they're
unwanted
listening.
attention.
They're listening, aren't they?
Yeah.
But it's it's pretty obvious what they did, and I show it clearly in the 5th video. So yeah, it's the coincidence list is up to 50. So I talked about a preponderance of evidence. How many coincidences does it take before there starts to be a pattern emerging? Before it starts to be a possibility, a probability, and when does it start to be an inevitability?
Yeah.
And for me, and pretty much everyone who's gone through the whole series, they're just like, I think it is what you say it is, and so that makes me feel good, because I had thought there would be a lot of criticism and a lot of people just saying this is a ridiculous idea. But nobody who's come with any criticism has had anything specific to say about the work. They just knock it,
Sounds familiar.
based on
Yeah, sounds familiar.
This is
Yeah,
the stupidest
absolutely.
idea I've ever seen, and then it's like, man for life. It's like, I don't mind if they have a question or criticisms, and that's fine with me. There's lots of great questions in the comment threads. Wonderful comments from people who've told me that my videos have changed how they see the world, and that they're very thankful for that, because it's brought them closer to nature, and they feel a greater bond
The kinship.
and a kinship. Yeah.
Well, I almost wonder whether these giants that existed, if they existed, then they spawned, when they passed down, then they spawned something smaller, which spawns something smaller, which eventually gets to us. But as I was saying earlier on, my theory is that there's like this vibration alteration that happens, like a flick of the switch, and everything changes and causes these giant beasts to become petrified and turn to stone. That's one of my preferred theories.
Yeah, some kind of an incarnation or
Yeah.
materialization.
And
Into this
Yeah.
density, 3D.
Yeah,
There's
and
so many different
I don't know why it troubles people that this might be, as you step up and you step backwards, that things become more massive and more supernatural almost, in the way that this whole construct has come to be where we are today. It speaks to the magnificence of our journey, and of the nature of how we've come to this point. And that if anything,
Reset after reset after
yeah,
reset, maybe.
and if anything sort of reminds me that we're humans are perhaps at our lowest point on our way to ascending again, then that we have to have come from something. So for me, I'm fascinated, and I love this kind of research. So I applaud you for it, Mark. Thanks.
Very good. It is very good.
Yeah, I'm going to look into
very
it as well.
detailed, very detailed stuff.
I've never looked into it, so I'm going to have to look
it's
into
very
it.
detailed stuff, and
If you make it to video 3, you'd be sold. I was sold on the first one, but I'd seen your
with the
research.
Titan series, I think by the end of the 3rd one, you'll want to see the 4th and 5th. Most of the people have gotten through the 2nd and 3rd. They end up binge watching the whole series because they want to see where it's going.
Well, I've probably fallen asleep to one or two of your videos. You take something to bed.
How does one take
See,
that?
that's why I became a flat earther, because he'd bring to bed, I'd be sleeping, I was being...
Brainwashed. I was brainwashed.
Yeah, subconsciously.
Yeah.
She was having to hear this information.
Well, they've got you on the path, I
Yeah,
guess.
exactly.
They did the job.
Exactly.
So just so everyone knows, just in case the stream goes down at any second, it's because the battery will be down, but we will be back up as soon as the van returns with all our equipment, so to speak.
Yeah.
When I say equipment, I actually only mean a couple of cables. But so
It's equipment.
it's equipment.
Yeah.
Yeah. So don't be surprised if it suddenly goes black or whatever and it's out. We'll be back up as soon as possible.
We're at Howard's family's house, so they very kindly have given us a little space to use. This is Howard's place, and we're just hanging out. It's actually nice to be in the warm.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, Mike's getting to the heart of the matter again. Look.
oh yeah, what have you found?
Okay, so this is just a rock. It's the very first rock I grabbed from
This collection.
Howard has a pile of rocks here, and this is it's not so distinct, but this is one of the things that I cover is that a lot of the rocks that are smooth that we see in the river bottoms and on the beaches are actually, it sounds crazy, these are the remains. These are petrified organs, and the patterns are easily recognizable. There's a video that I've done called Petrified Organs giant's hearts.
But at that point, when you say that, everybody thinks that's madness.
Yeah.
That is absolute madness. Just like you rejected flat Earth, that's absolute madness. But I guarantee you, once you look at his research,
So if you look at this rock here, here's another one. This is just the second one I put. It's got a harp shape to it. It's got curves. There's a flattened top, and there's even an indentation on the top here. And this is what I show over and over again. I've got a 3-minute video. You can see my face on the channel, and I just kind of go through several of the key features that the hearts show over and over again. And the hearts are the most distinct because the other organs like the kidneys and the spleens, these are, you know, they'll make rocks that are round or kidney shaped. They're not so distinct, but the heart is very, very specific. And when we die, the heart goes into contraction. So it needs energy in order to be able to relax. But when the energy isn't there, the heart contracts. And when it does, the ventricles curve inward. So this is a very, very specific shape. It's not a shape you would find from a rock rolling around in a river bottom. And it occurs over and over and over again. And usually you'll find indentations where the blood vessels would have been. And in this particular rock, it's a perfect example of that. This one is a little bit less obvious, but here again, you've got that heart shape and the indentations coming in. So I have much more specific examples in the videos, but they're very easy to spot once you've seen the anatomy. And
once you have the eyes to see.
Once you have the eyes to see.
So we're living in the carcasses of once monumentally giant creatures.
That's what I believe.
That's fascinating.
Yeah,
That
it
is-
changes your. Like I said to you earlier, it's like it changes the way I look at my surrounding landscape. And in Spain, it's a beautiful landscape, but I don't see mountain.
Yeah.
I see Titan.
All in
Titan. Yeah.
I think
You probably do suffer
I
a
think-
little bit with paranoia because every mountain could be anything,
Yeah.
you know. But it's a fun game,
Yeah.
I can tell you.
It's more of a questioning, like what is it? What could it have been? I think they come from a lot of different sources. I mean, some are obviously volcanoes. Some may have been ancient trees that were cut down. Some may be fallen titans. Yeah.
See, if the trees, if there's a vibration change and those trees are immediately petrified and turned to stone, like Lot's wife is turned to a pillar of salt, well then, if that happened, then those trees would shatter and they would crumble and fall and they'd become mountain ranges and all that sort of thing. So that's how I perceive how they might have broken.
I forgot all about Lot's wife. Now that you mention it, it's like, well, yeah, actually, because a lot of stuff in the old scriptures were written in a way that people should understand it as opposed to what really was happening. You know what I mean? They would do it
Yeah,
The
so if you
glittering
can-
sword.
right. Yeah,
Well,
all that
there's
sort of
also,
stuff.
yeah, the
Parting
whole-
of the sea and all those things. You know what I mean? Obviously, you know, no one stood there with a stick and went.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm sure something did actually occur.
Symbolically.
Symbolically, exactly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we can take from the old scriptures, if anything at all.
Right.
Yeah, that's my look on that.
And there's
Yeah.
also the plasma apocalypse ideas as well.
Mm.
That could be an example of something that could cause an instant petrification. But we don't have to get that far out to have explanations because volcanoes explain them very well. We have things called lahars, which are like, imagine an avalanche of superheated ash
Mm.
that just sweeps through an area and it would petrify things in a very short amount of time.
Yeah,
Pyroclastic flows
Yeah.
can be ejected from volcanoes.
yeah.
These are clouds that have superheated gases that can move at the speed of sound.
Mm.
So, you know, there's your mainstream scientific explanations for how this kind of stuff can occur. I have a video that I'm working on that'll be coming out hopefully in the next few weeks that's going into the different explanatory models for how this can occur. Why so many of these rocks may actually be petrified organs and the remains of beings of all different sizes. And in the petrified organs video that I did, the last part of the video, I show a number of rocks that are anything from a foot in size up to 5 feet that are all petrified hearts. So giants were
It's
walking this
fascinating
earth
stuff,
as well.
isn't
In one of his videos, he breaks them open.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Yeah, that one's called Broken Hearts Tell Tales, and yeah. So a lot of the people in the comment threads were asking me, you know, cut into them. What's inside? And so I don't have access to what do they call it, a mud saw or something like that to slice them properly. But they do break. So
Yeah.
I'm at the river bottom, they're alive, you know, breaking them open. And a lot of them, you know, they can be perfectly white on the outside, and you break them open, and you find red, blood-like chambers, and, you know, it's pretty fascinating. So when you see that,
Sorry, do you think how do you think the petrification takes place? Is it because it's been like
it was a real mystery to me, because my question is, why am I not finding spines, ribs, skulls, legs, arms, that sort of thing? And my theory right now is that it's like a crock pot. So if you take bone and you put it into a crock pot for 3 or 4 hours, it turns to sponge. And so if you increase those temperatures a lot, that'll probably happen a lot faster. And with lahars, for example, you've got this pressure, you've got the heat, you've got everything you need to just disintegrate the outer portions of the body. Whereas the organs are in the chest and the abdominal cavities, and each organ is surrounded in its own fascial sac. So it's like boiling an egg, you know. It literally is inside of floating in fluid. So as the outer portion of the body is getting burned and you know, disintegrated by the forces involved, then the organs are just going to cook like crazy. And it may be that they actually petrify while the rest of the body is being disintegrated. That's it's a plausible explanation. It has scientific, scientific.
Well, we're very much in the world of theories and trying to ascertain and understand how the nature of the world is. So, all things have to be on the table. And
If you're a truther, everything has to be on the table.
the possibilities are incredible.
The first thing with these hearts is like, are they hearts? And that's what I go through in the first videos. Is I show the anatomy, I show how they correspond, I show how the prevalence is far too great. There's way too many examples of them with very specific features found in too short a period of time for it to just be chance. And if you look at the shapes, it's not a shape you would expect to come from just erosion rolling around in a river.
Yeah, I don't buy that so much anymore.
So if you operate from the assumption of, well, we have this phenomena, or maybe phenomena isn't the word, they're there, then the question is how and why. And that's what I'm trying to come to terms with.
Yeah, now that you mention it, that's what we always learned, wasn't it? That water eroded the rocks into that sort of shape. And some of the shapes are so amazingly complex. You sort of think, well, how does that work? How did the water manage to do that? And also do that?
And bore holes.
And then move back this way so that it's nice and smooth that way, you know what I mean? It's
nonsense.
It makes sort of sense, doesn't it, when you sort of think about it out loud?
And actually, the perfection in which you see some of these rock strata formation, they're just perfect lines, fingers of lines like this going in this way. You think, could that for me, see if that's former living material or organic material, like it was a living thing. It looks to me like it was frozen in time, rather than it was cooked away. It's like it got stopped right there, and then everything that's happened since then has been a form of erosion to the original kind of structure.
Well, the mainstream story from geology is that under the ocean's floors, with all of the pressure from the water for hundreds of millions of years, all of the living creatures have been compressed into these layers of strata, and then they're pushed upward by tectonic activity. And then that's why we're able to see all these different lines going different directions. Okay. And then those pieces break off into smaller and smaller pieces, and then we end up with these little smooth ones in the end. And what I would say is that this rock, which is, of all the rocks here, this is exactly what I'm talking about in the videos. This shape, this is not the kind of shape that's going to reoccur over and over again by rolling around in a river bottom.
Yeah.
And this shape, once you realize that organs have a front and they have a top, and once you recognize that, then you can start to spot these very, very easily, because they jump out at you. This would be something. This would be something like,
Do you know what I mean?
A spleen, for example. But if I were to show a rock like this and say this is a spleen, well, a spleen is not very, it's not very distinct. But hearts, they have a very distinct shape. They have very specific openings, and
Who needs the Discovery Channel when you've got Trinity 4 here? Some geniuses.
Who needs the Discovery Channel,
nice.
indeed.
That's really useful.
Fascinating stuff.
You guys are giving my channel a little bit of kudos tonight.
Beautiful.
That's good, though, yeah. And it's all...
Just don't ever take him out to dinner parties.
I think I'd love to have a dinner party.
Remember his face.
None of us get second invites, you know.
Yeah.
He's the flat Earth one. Oh, you don't get called back.
Yeah,
You don't get
absolutely.
called back. No. So you can talk about your rock hearts all day long.
Jason, if you're listening, you know, I see you're in the chat, Jason of the Disbury. If you could send me your link to so that I can live stream from my phone, because my phone has got enough juice on it, just in case the van takes another half a day to arrive, because the stuff is on there and they've got to come back from Benidorm, just so that we can sort of keep it seamless between
I don't.
when this goes down.
I have an.
That would be great. Please, if you could message me that, and then I could
Samsung.
at least do something from my phone, because I think this one is going to go
Ring it
off
with that. No, I'll have it.
pretty shortly, because we're going to be out of juice.
Yeah.
But until it does go off, we'll continue filming. So I never looked at rocks like that. Now that's given me something to think about.
Yeah, it's a paradigm changer. I can tell you that.
Mm.
The best comment I've ever had on my channel is that my videos were more powerful than psychedelics because
Wow.
they don't wear off.
Ah, I got it. I see what you did there.
I like
See
that.
what you did there. Nice little sales kick there.
Yeah. Go and check out Mike's channel.
Yeah, go and check out Mike's channel. Alex, your site's been on air the whole time on the chat, so people are putting out the links to where they can
Beautiful. Thank
I
you.
wanna hear a
Purchase your
song.
music.
What about a song?
Oh yeah. How about
Yeah.
A live song.
Well, should we have a live song before they come back from the Benidorm?
Charge us for
Before the
show.
band
Oh
fee.
my god, you see what I'm talking about with the pressure of performing? You see what people do? Play, monkey boy, play!
Where's the? Do we have an ashtray?
Rocking
Because
guitar.
oh no, the kids here. Sorry, I'll smoke in a bit. Leave it.
Oh god. See, there's an awful lot of lyrics in my songs, so it makes them very, very, it's very
I
difficult.
can't help you.
He probably knows the lyrics better than I do. It's like when you write a book and then you try and recite the book. It's very difficult. So there's a lot of lyrics, but I'll do my best. Any requests for? I bet someone
Any
says-
requests? I'm
Someone
gonna.
says a song I don't want to do.
Yeah, probably.
No, give us your best.
Just
Give
play
us your
what you want to play,
favourites,
man.
Your favourite.
Yeah, just play along. Otherwise, we'll have about 20 different songs up here.
They're loving it.
Yeah.
They're loving it.
I remember when I learned in school about gravity. It was so cool. I had a teacher that knew it all. She taught me how water could stick to a ball, how buildings stick to the underside of a ball that spins like a carousel ride.
They love
Man, it all sounded crazy to me, but I love learning about gravity. I couldn't wait to tell my dad about the amazing day that I had. He picked me up, I was bursting with pride. He opened up the door and I jumped inside. He smiled at me and said, "How was your day?" I said, "Dad, I was blown away. Because I learned about this magical thing, but it's kind of got my head in a spin. I learned about this Newton guy. When an apple fell on his head, he surmised that there must be a force that's pulling it down. And everything's being sucked to the ground. A force that sticks us all to this ball. The people, the buildings, the oceans, and all. And so it was written in history. Newton had discovered gravity.
Yeah.
Well, he just looked at me and said, "Don't believe in gravity. Don't believe in fantasy. Don't believe, cause a theory's all it is.
Uh-huh.
It's never been proven, but they teach it to the kids. Yes, they do.
Yeah. No good. Save the kids.
Well, my dad felt a little bit sad for me when I mentioned that word gravity. He said, "Have a little independent thought and question what you've just been taught." I mean, how the hell can a ball that spins make a force so strong that sucks everything in, yet birds and insects fly unaffected? Gravity must be so selective. Think about it logically, cause that don't make no sense to me. You gotta question all those preachers preach and question all those teachers teach. You see, gravity is just a bunch of bull. That Newton guy's just a lying fool. These guys like Newton know they shouldn't be trusted. Their Freemasonic lies have been busted.
Yeah.
In fact, my boy, it's density. And that's why things fall down, you see. An object always falls to the ground if it's heavier than the air that surrounds. If it's lighter than air, then it'll rise. It'll keep on floating up to the skies. That's what's known as buoyancy. And that makes more sense than gravity. So let me hear you sing it one more time now. Don't believe in gravity.
Yeah.
Don't believe in fantasy.
Oh, yeah.
Don't believe, cause a theory's all it is.
Yeah.
I'll never been proven, but they teach it to the kids. Yes, they do. He said, I'm sorry, son, for bursting your bubble, but that kind of thinking can get you in trouble. These theories they try to put in your head, it's all just pseudoscience, he said. They'll have you believing in all kinds of crap. That gravity nonsense belongs in the trash. Believe me when I say to you, there ain't no gravity, and that's the truth, yeah. Well, my daddy made me think that day. He made me think in a different way. I did some thinking for myself. I put that theory back on the shelf. That gravity crap is indoctrination, not truthful, trusted information. People need to wake up and see there ain't no such thing as gravity. No, there ain't. Let's sing it one more time now. Don't believe in gravity. Don't believe in fantasy. Don't believe, cause a theory's all it is. It's never been proven, but they teach it to the kids. Yes, they do, people. Don't believe in gravity.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you.
I loved it.
Brilliant.
Killed it, brother.
What a legend.
Yeah.
Excellent. Bravo.
Well, I'm sure the chat room.
And the most important word in here, it says encore. Which is a bit of, oh no. Should we leave that for stream part 2 when the others get back?
They
Yeah,
say,
when you got more battery, well, yeah.
yeah,
right,
encore,
okay.
lovely, jamming, yeah.
So when the others get back from Benidorm, we'll do the encore bit. That gives us a little bit of time.
yeah.
Because otherwise they're going to miss out on it as well.
Alrighty.
So
Glad you
nice
enjoyed
one.
it.
Brilliant, Alex. Well
We
done.
loved
Thank
it,
you.
Alex. Thank you.
Excellent. Everyone's chuffed. Even Amanda's clapping her hands and everybody's very, very happy. So that's lovely, lovely, lovely.
Cool. Well, I guess we can use that as our end to the stream.
We'll end this stream for
And,
now, and then we'll resume when the others get back. And then
Yeah.
hopefully Jason has sent me his link on my messenger so that I can access his
yeah.
YouTube channel. So I'll hand
You
it
know,
back over
Alex,
to
when
you.
in the war, they would sometimes send, singers and players to
To
go
boost
out and
morale.
boost morale.
Yeah, we said he's doing his Marilyn Monroe
Yeah,
for us.
he did.
That certainly was.
I'm the battlefield
But
drummer.
much better, much
Yeah.
better
The
than
next
her.
song he'll be scantily clad.
Well, scantily
Not in
clad.
this temperature, mate.
No.
But he might be able to show us some of his kind of zero gravity tricks. Actually, we're hoping that he'll be able to show us how to get into.
I didn't
really
bring my harness,
wanted
I'm
it.
afraid.
You don't
Oh,
use
you
a
didn't bring your harness.
Don't tell me you use a harness, mate. All my friends have said there's no harness. It's real zero G.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about the green screen in the background that they always take with them there? It's quite
Yeah.
interesting as well, isn't
Yeah.
it? Behind.
Yeah.
What's his name? Twin Peak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This has all been green screened actually. The
Yes.
whole thing, like the Adam Meakin affair in Rome, was
Yeah,
just
yeah.
green screened. And
Even this is green screen. We're actually at the South Pole.
Here.
Yeah.
Yes. No. So anyway, on that note, I will say thanks very much for stopping by. It's been great having you here on Trinity 4 for a change. We'll see you again soon.
We'll be over at Jason's channel most probably very shortly.
Yeah, once we're all charged up and back with the team. Oh, and don't forget tomorrow's Valencia. So we're
It
only
is.
about an hour's drive, and we hope to get an early start in Valencia.
Yeah.
So
You
if
say
you,
that every time.
Yeah,
we
let's-
do say that every time, but it's a slow-moving beast. Is the flat Earth?
You shouldn't talk about your wife like that.
Yeah.
Touche. Nice. Nice. A bit of reality.
Cheers, we're up.
Hey, even Alexander thinks it's great. Hey.
Brilliant.
Happy days.
Okay, guys. So we'll see you again later. This is
Yeah.
Sven signing off. Trinity Force channel.
Bye.
Bye bye. See you later. Bye bye. Ta ta.
54